In Dubai, where luxury meets destiny, a bored billionaire seeks an evening of escape. But what he finds is a dancer, Malia, whose smile hides secrets and struggles. One dance, one glance, and an unexpected connection plunge him into a whirlwind of passion and secrets. Can love blossom between two such different worlds? Prepare for a story that will warm your heart and leave you breathless. The night sky of Dubai sparkled like a diamond-studded cloak over the city of excesses. In the harbor, majestically anchored, Khalid al-Rashid's yacht gently rocked on the calm waters. Inside the luxurious vessel, the 35-year-old billionaire contemplated his reflection in the mirror, adjusting the simple attire he had chosen for the night. "Sir, are you sure you don't want company tonight?" asked Ahmed, his personal assistant, with a note of concern in his voice. Khalid smiled, his dark eyes gleaming with a mixture of boredom and anticipation. "No, Ahmed. Tonight, I want to lose myself in the city. Alone." The assistant nodded resignedly, knowing his boss's whims too well to argue. As Khalid disembarked, blending easily with the crowd on the pier, Ahmed watched him, a shadow of apprehension on his countenance. The streets of Dubai pulsed with life. The aroma of spices and the buzz of conversations in various languages enveloped Khalid, who felt strangely invigorated away from the isolation of his privileged life. He wandered aimlessly, absorbing the energy of the city he had helped build, but from which he felt so distant. His steps led him to a less opulent neighborhood, where neon lights competed with the stars and the smell of shisha permeated the air. That's when he heard it, an Arabic melody, nostalgic and engaging, escaping from a small cafe on the corner. Intrigued, Khalid approached. Through the foggy window, he glimpsed a scene that made him stop abruptly. In the center of a modest improvised stage, a woman was dancing. Her movements were graceful, hypnotic, telling a story of passion and resilience that left him breathless. Without thinking twice, he entered the cafe. The ambience was cozy, full of laughter and lively conversations. But for Khalid, everything disappeared except the dancer. His eyes followed her, fascinated by the way she moved, as if the music were an extension of her own body. As he approached the counter, Khalid couldn't take his eyes off her. The dancer twirled, her colorful dress spinning like petals in the wind, and for a brief moment, their gazes met. Her smile lit up the entire room, making Khalid's heart skip a beat. "What can I get you, my friend?" asked the bartender, interrupting Khalid's trance. Blinking rapidly, Khalid turned his attention to the man. "Who is she?" he asked, tilting his head toward the dancer. The bartender smiled, a glint of pride in his eyes. "Ah, that's Malia, our most precious jewel. She dances here every night." Khalid nodded, an idea forming in his mind. He leaned in closer, lowering his voice. "And how much would it cost for her to dance just for me? At a private table?" The bartender raised his eyebrows, surprised by the boldness of the request. He studied Khalid for a moment, assessing. Then, with a knowing smile, he named an exorbitant price, expecting to shock the stranger. To his surprise, Khalid didn't even blink. He pulled out a thick wad of notes from his pocket and placed them on the counter. "This should be enough," he said calmly. The bartender's eyes widened, but he quickly composed himself, taking the money. "Of course, sir. Please follow me." As he was led to a discreet table at the back of the cafe, Khalid felt a wave of excitement he hadn't experienced in years. The night that had begun as an escape from boredom was about to turn into something far more intriguing. The bartender approached Malia, whispering in her ear. She looked in Khalid's direction, a mixture of curiosity and hesitation in her eyes. For a moment, Khalid feared she would refuse. But then Malia smiled again, that radiant smile that seemed to light up the entire place, and began walking towards him. Khalid straightened in his chair, his heart racing with anticipation. As Malia gracefully approached Khalid's table, the ambient noise of the cafe seemed to fade away. Her eyes, a deep amber hue, held a mixture of curiosity and caution. Khalid found himself captivated, unable to look away from her mesmerizing gaze. "Good evening," Malia said, her voice melodious yet tinged with a hint of wariness. "I'm told you've requested a private dance?" Khalid nodded, gesturing to the empty chair across from him. Please join me. I'm Khalid. Malia hesitated for a moment before taking the seat. I'm Malia, but I suppose you already know that. She studied him intently, as if trying to decipher his intentions. May I ask why you made this unusual request? Khalid leaned back, a small smile playing on his lips. Your dancing is unlike anything I've ever seen. It tells a story, one I'm eager to understand. A flicker of surprise crossed Malia's face, quickly replaced by a guarded expression. And what story do you think my dance tells, Khalid? One of passion, he replied softly, but also of struggle. There's joy in your movements, but also a hint of sadness. It's intriguing. Malia's eyes widened slightly, caught off guard by perceptiveness. She opened her mouth to respond, but was interrupted by the arrival of the cafe owner, a portly man with a genial smile. Ah, our esteemed guest, he exclaimed, bowing slightly to Khalid. Your private area is ready. Please, follow me. As they stood, Khalid noticed a fleeting look of resignation pass over Malia's face. It stirred something within him, a desire to ease her discomfort. The owner led them to a secluded corner of the cafe, hidden behind ornate screens. A small stage had been hastily set up, with cushions arranged nearby for seating. Soft, warm lighting created an intimate atmosphere. I'll leave you to it, the owner said with a wink, disappearing behind the screens. An awkward silence fell between them. Malia fidgeted with the hem of her colorful skirt, avoiding Khalid's gaze. We don't have to do this if you're uncomfortable, Khalid said gently, surprising himself with his own sincerity. Malia looked up, startled. No, it's fine. It's just not something I usually do. She took a deep breath, visibly steeling herself. What kind of dance would you like to see? Whatever you feel most passionate about, Khalid replied. Dance as if I wasn't here. Dance for yourself. Something shifted in Malia's expression, a softening, a spark of interest. She nodded and moved to the small stage, closing her eyes as if to center herself. As the music began, a haunting melody that seemed to weave through the air, Malia started to move. Her dance was different this time, more raw and emotional. Every movement told a story, of joy and pain, of struggle and triumph. Khalid watched, transfixed. He felt as if he was witnessing something intensely personal, a glimpse into Malia's soul. The way she moved, it was clear that dance was more than just a job for her. It was a form of expression, perhaps even escape. As the dance progressed, Malia seemed to forget Khalid's presence. Her movement became freer, more passionate. At one point, a single tear rolled down her cheek, glistening in the soft light. When the music finally faded, Malia stood still, her chest heaving slightly. She opened her eyes, looking almost surprised to see Khalid. That was extraordinary, Khalid said softly, his voice filled with genuine awe. Malia blushed, stepping down from the stage. Thank you, she murmured, taking a seat on one of the cushions. I got a bit carried away. Please, don't apologize, Khalid insisted. It was beautiful. May I ask what were you thinking about while you danced? Malia hesitated, biting her lip. For a moment, Khalid thought she wouldn't answer. But then she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. My son, she said. Amir, he's everything to me. Khalid leaned forward, intrigued. You have a son? How old is he? 5, Malia replied, a soft smile gracing her features. He's the reason I dance. To provide for him, to give him a better life. As Malia began to open up, sharing snippets of her life as a single mother, Khalid found himself drawn in. He listened intently, asking questions, genuinely interested in her story. Their conversation flowed easily, punctuated by moments of laughter and shared looks of understanding. Time seemed to lose meaning in their secluded corner of the cafe. Suddenly, a shrill ring cut through their conversation. Malia's eyes widened as she fumbled for her phone, her face paling as she saw the caller ID. I'm sorry I have to take this, she said hurriedly. Standing up, it's the hospital. As Malia answered the call, her voice trembling, Khalid watched with growing concern. Something was clearly wrong. "I'll be right there," Malia said into the phone, her voice choked with fear. She turned to Khalid, her eyes filled with panic. "I'm so sorry I have to go. It's Amir. He's had a complication. He needs surgery immediately." Before Khalid could respond, Malia was gone, leaving him alone with the lingering scent of her perfume and a head full of questions. As he sat there, processing what had just happened, Khalid realized that this encounter had affected him more deeply than he could have imagined. He stood up, determined. Whatever was happening with Malia and her son, he couldn't simply walk away. Not now. Not after what they had shared. With a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years, Khalid headed out into the Dubai night, his mind racing with possibilities. Little did he know that his impulsive decision to follow Malia would set in motion a chain of events that would change both their lives forever. The night air of Dubai struck Malia's face as she ran through the bustling streets, her heart pounding in her chest. The city's bright lights seemed to blur, dimmed by the mist of tears in her eyes. Each passing second was torture, her mind filled with images of little Amir lying in a hospital bed, alone and afraid. "Please, God, protect my son," she murmured repeatedly, her voice almost inaudible in the buzz of the nighttime city. Meanwhile, Khalid emerged from the cafe, stunned by Malia's sudden departure. For a moment, he stood on the sidewalk, undecided. Then, as if moved by a force beyond his comprehension, he began to follow her. "Ahmed," he spoke into the phone, his voice laden with urgency. "I need you to find out which hospital a child named Amir was admitted to tonight. It's an emergency." As he waited for information, Khalid reflected on the night's events. Malia's dance, so full of emotion and life, contrasted sharply with the fear in her eyes when she received the call. He felt a pang in his chest, a sense of responsibility he couldn't explain. In the taxi, Malia could barely contain her anxiety. Every red light was agony, every detour torture. She closed her eyes, remembering Amir's smile, his contagious laughter. "Mommy's coming. My love," she whispered to herself. When she finally arrived at the hospital, Malia rushed to the reception, her words coming out in a desperate torrent. "My son, Amir. Where is he? They said he needs surgery." The receptionist, accustomed to emergency situations, remained calm. "Calm down, ma'am. What is your son's full name?" "Amir Hakim," Malia responded, trying to control her breathing. "He's 5 years old. Please, I need to see him." As the receptionist checked the information, Malia felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. The hours she had spent dancing for Khalid, which now seemed to have happened in another life, weighed on her conscience. She should have been here with her son. "Mrs. Hakim," a deep voice called. Malia turned to see a middle-aged doctor approaching. "I'm Dr. Fawaz. Your son is stable at the moment, but we need to perform emergency surgery. His heart condition has worsened." Malia felt her legs weaken. "Surgery? But I can't afford to pay. I don't have insurance to cover this." Dr. Fawaz frowned, his expression a mixture of compassion and professional concern. "I understand your situation, Mrs. Hakim, but without the surgery, your son's life is at risk. We need to act quickly." At that moment, Malia felt as if the ground was disappearing beneath her feet. The idea of losing Amir was unbearable, but the financial reality was overwhelming. She began to plead, tears streaming down her face. "Please, doctor, there must be something we can do. I'll pay, no matter how long it takes. Please save my son." The doctor seemed about to respond when a familiar voice sounded behind Malia. "I'll pay for the surgery." Malia turned, shocked to see Khalid standing there, his eyes full of determination. For a moment, she couldn't speak, stunned by his presence and the unexpected offer. "Khalid? How? Why?" He stepped forward, his expression serious. "That doesn't matter now. What matters is saving your son." Turning to the doctor, he continued, "Do whatever is necessary. Cost is not an issue." Dr. Fawaz, though visibly surprised, nodded quickly. "Very well. I'll prepare the team immediately." As the doctor walked away, Malia stared at Khalid, a mixture of gratitude and distrust in her eyes. I don't understand. Why would you do this? Khalid hesitated, as if struggling to find the right words. Because no one should have to choose between their child's life and financial ruin. And because, after seeing you dance, hearing your story, I couldn't simply walk away. Malia opened her mouth to respond, but was interrupted by the arrival of a nurse. Mrs. Hakim, you can see your son now, before the surgery. With a last look at Khalid, a look full of unasked questions and conflicting emotions, Malia followed the nurse. As she walked down the sterile hospital corridor, her mind was spinning. The night had started like any other, with her dancing to survive. Now, she was on the brink of a life-changing event, guided by a stranger who, for some incomprehensible reason, decided to care. As she entered Amir's room, seeing his small body connected to machines, Malia felt a wave of love and fear so intense it nearly knocked her over. Holding her son's hand, she silently promised that no matter what happened, she would face whatever came. With Khalid, the mysterious benefactor waiting outside, and Amir about to go into surgery, Malia knew her life would never be the same. The sterile corridors of the hospital buzzed with quiet intensity as Malia paced back and forth, her eyes fixed on the imposing doors of the operating room. Every tick of the clock on the wall seemed to echo in her mind. Khalid sat nearby, his usual composed demeanor slightly ruffled. He watched Malia, noting the worry lines etched on her face, the way her hands trembled slightly as she ran them through her hair. The woman before him was a far cry from the confident dancer he had met just hours ago. Malia, he said softly, breaking the tense silence. Please sit down. You need to rest. She turned to him, her eyes a storm of emotions. How can I rest when my son is fighting for his life? Her voice cracked slightly, betraying her exhaustion and fear. Khalid stood up, closing the distance between them. I understand, but wearing yourself out won't help Amir. He'll need you strong when he wakes up. Something in his tone, a mixture of authority and genuine concern, made Malia pause. She looked at him, really looked at him for the first time since they'd arrived at the hospital. Why are you still here, Khalid? You've already done more than enough by paying for the surgery. Khalid's expression softened. I'm not entirely sure myself, but it didn't feel right to leave you alone in this situation. Malia's eyes narrowed slightly. There's something you're not telling me. Who are you really? People don't just offer to pay for expensive surgeries for strangers. The moment of truth had arrived. Khalid took a deep breath, knowing that his next words would change everything. You're right. I haven't been entirely honest with you, Malia. My name is Khalid Al-Rashid. I'm the CEO of Al-Rashid Petroleum. Malia's eyes widened in shock, her mouth falling open. Al-Rashid Petroleum? But that means you're one of the wealthiest men in the Middle East. Khalid finished for her, a hint of resignation in his voice. Yes, I am. Malia took a step back, her mind reeling. But why? Why were you in that cafe? Why did you ask me to dance for you? Khalid ran a hand through his hair, a surprisingly human gesture for a man of his stature. I was lost, I suppose, bored with my life, disconnected from the world around me. I wanted to experience something real, something outside the bubble I've been living in. And then I saw you dance, and he trailed off, struggling to find the right words. Malia waited, her heart pounding, caught between gratitude for his help and anger at his deception. And what? She prompted, her voice barely above a whisper. And I saw someone who had more passion in life in one dance than I've had in years, Khalid admitted. I was intrigued, drawn in. I wanted to understand what drove you, what gave your life such meaning. Malia laughed bitterly. Meaning? My life is a constant struggle, Khalid. Every day is a battle to provide for Amir, to give him a chance at a better future. There's no glamour in that. But there's purpose, Khalid countered. Something I've been lacking. Watching you, talking to you, it made me realize how empty my own existence has become. A tense silence fell between them. Malia's mind was a whirlwind of conflicting thoughts and emotions. Part of her wanted to be furious at Khalid for his deception, for treating her life like some sort of entertaining diversion. But another part couldn't ignore the genuine remorse in his eyes, The way he had rushed to help without hesitation when Amir needed it. Before she could respond, the doors to the operating room swung open. Dr. Fawaz emerged, his face unreadable behind his surgical mask. Malia's heart leapt into her throat. "Doctor? How is my son?" Dr. Fawaz removed his mask, revealing a tired but relieved smile. "The surgery was successful, Mrs. Hakim. Amir is stable and recovering. We were able to repair the defect in his heart." A sob of relief escaped Malia's lips. She felt her knees weaken, and suddenly Khalid was there, supporting her gently. "He's okay?" "My boy is okay." "Yes," the doctor confirmed. "He's a strong little fighter. He'll need to stay in the hospital for a while to recover, but the prognosis is very good." As the doctor continued explaining the details of Amir's condition and recovery, Malia found herself leaning into Khalid's support, overwhelmed by the emotional roller coaster of the night. When Dr. Fawaz left, promising they could see Amir soon, Malia turned to face Khalid. Their eyes met, and in that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. The truth was out, carved on the table, but the story was far from over. "Thank you," Malia said softly, her voice thick with emotion, "for everything. But where do we go from here, Khalid? This isn't some fairy tale. You can't just sweep in, save the day, and expect." Khalid held up a hand, stopping her. "I don't expect anything, Malia. I know my actions tonight don't erase the reality of our different worlds. But if you'll allow it, I'd like to help. Not just with Amir's medical bills, but perhaps I could offer you a job. A real opportunity to use your skills and provide for your son." Malia's breath caught in her throat. The offer was tempting, a potential lifeline out of the constant struggle. But doubt lingered. And what would you want in return? Khalid's expression turned serious. "Nothing you're not willing to give. Just a chance to do something meaningful, to make a difference. And maybe in the process, learn from you how to live with the kind of passion and purpose I saw in your dance." As they stood there in the hospital corridor, the weight of possibility hung in the air between them. Malia knew that whatever she decided next would alter the course of her and Amir's lives forever. The question was she ready to take that leap of faith? The sound of a nurse calling her name broke the moment. "Mrs. Hakim, you can see your son now." With one last look at Khalid, a mix of gratitude, uncertainty, and something undefinable in her eyes, Malia turned to follow the nurse. As she walked away, both she and Khalid knew that this was not the end, but rather the beginning of a new and unpredictable chapter in both their lives. The soft beeping of medical equipment filled the small hospital room as Malia sat by Amir's bedside, her hand gently stroking his arm. The boy's chest rose and fell steadily, his face peaceful in sleep. The surgery had been successful, but the road to recovery would be long. Khalid stood in the doorway, feeling like an intruder in this intimate moment between mother and son. He watched as Malia leaned forward, whispering words of love and encouragement to Amir. The tenderness of the scene stirred something deep within him, a longing for a connection he'd never truly experienced. "He looks so small," Khalid said softly, breaking the silence. Malia looked up, startled. She'd almost forgotten Khalid was there. "Yes," she replied, her voice thick with emotion. "But he's strong. Stronger than I ever imagined." Khalid stepped into the room, his eyes fixed on Amir. "Like his mother," he said, a note of admiration in his voice. Malia's eyes narrowed slightly. "Khalid, I appreciate everything you've done, but we need to talk about what happens next." He nodded, pulling up a chair to sit across from her. "I meant what I said earlier. I want to help, to offer you a job, but I understand if you're hesitant." Malia sighed, her gaze returning to Amir. "It's not that simple. My whole life has been about survival, about doing whatever it takes to provide for Amir. And now you're offering what seems like a miracle solution. It's overwhelming." Khalid leaned forward, his expression earnest. "Tell me about your background, Malia. You mentioned being an engineer?" A shadow of pain crossed Malia's face. I studied chemical engineering, graduated top of my class. I had dreams of revolutionizing sustainable energy." She laughed bitterly. "But then life happened. I got married young, had my son. My husband, he left when we found out about Amir's heart condition. Said he couldn't handle a defective child. Khalid's fists clenched involuntarily, anger flashing in his eyes. That's despicable. Malia nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I had to drop everything to care for Amir. No company wanted to hire a single mother with a chronically ill child. So I turned to dancing. It paid the bills, allowed me flexible hours to be there for him. As she spoke, Khalid found himself even more in awe of her resilience. Malia, your experience, your education, it's exactly what my company needs. We're developing new sustainable energy technologies. Your expertise could be invaluable. Malia's eyes widened in surprise. You're serious about this, aren't you? Khalid nodded solemnly. Completely. I'm offering you a position as a lead researcher in our sustainable energy division. Full benefits, flexible hours to accommodate Amir's needs, and a salary that will ensure you never have to worry about medical bills again. The offer hung in the air between them, its magnitude almost tangible. Malia's mind raced, considering the possibilities, the risks, the complete upheaval of her life that this would entail. Why? She asked finally, her voice barely above a whisper. Why would you do this for us? Khalid was quiet for a moment, gathering his thoughts. Because in one night, you've shown me more about life, passion, and purpose than I've learned in years of running a multi-billion-dollar company. Because I believe in your potential, both as an engineer and as a human being. And he hesitated, then continued. Because I think we could both learn a lot from each other. Malia studied him intently, searching for any sign of deception or ulterior motive. But all she saw was sincerity, and perhaps a hint of vulnerability that seemed out of place on the face of such a powerful man. I don't know, Khalid, she said finally. It's a generous offer, but it's also terrifying. My whole life would change. Amir's life would change. Change can be good, Khalid replied gently. Think about it. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. As if on cue, Amir stirred in his sleep, his small hand reaching out. Malia immediately took it, murmuring soothing words. Khalid watched, mesmerized by the bond between them. I have a proposal, Malia said suddenly, her eyes still on Amir. Give me a trial period. 3 months. Let me prove myself. See if I can balance work and Amir's care. And in return, I'll show you what it means to live with purpose, to find joy in the small things. Khalid's face broke into a genuine smile, the first Malia had seen from him. Deal, he said without hesitation. As they shook hands over Amir's hospital bed, both Malia and Khalid felt the weight of this moment. It was more than a job offer, more than a chance at a new life. It was the beginning of a journey that would challenge them both, push them out of their comfort zones, and perhaps lead them to discover parts of themselves they never knew existed. Outside the hospital window, the first rays of dawn were breaking over Dubai's skyline. A new day was beginning, full of promise and possibility. As Amir's eyes fluttered open, his gaze moving between his mother and the strange man by his bed, Malia felt a surge of hope. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she was ready to face them. With Khalid's support and her own determination, she dared to believe that a brighter future was possible for herself, for her son, and perhaps even for the jaded billionaire who had stumbled into their lives. 3 months had passed since that fateful night at the hospital. The Dubai skyline shimmered in the late afternoon sun as Malia stood at the window of her new office, still hardly believing the turn her life had taken. She turned, surveying the sleek, modern space filled with cutting-edge technology, a far cry from the small, dingy apartment she and Amir had called home just weeks ago. A soft knock at the door pulled her from her reverie. "Come in," she called, smoothing down her crisp business suit, another novelty she was still getting used to. Khalid entered, his presence commanding as always, but there was a newfound ease in his demeanor. "How's the latest simulation coming along?" he asked, genuine interest in his voice. Malia's face lit up with excitement. "It's promising, Khalid. The new algae strain we developed could increase biofuel production by up to 40% while reducing water consumption. If we can scale this, we could revolutionize sustainable energy production in arid regions." Khalid finished, a smile playing on his lips. Impressive work, Malia. As always, she blushed slightly at the praise, still enthused at having her intellect recognized and valued. It's a team effort. The resources you provided, the talent you've assembled is beyond anything I could have imagined. Khalid nodded, moving to stand beside her at the window. You exceeded every expectation, you know. The board is thrilled with the progress we've made in such a short time. Malia turned to face him, her expression suddenly serious. And Amir? How is he doing in the new school? Khalid's face softened. Over the past months, he had taken a personal interest in ensuring Amir's well-being, even going so far as to enroll him in the city's best international school with a full-time nurse on staff. He's thriving, Malia. His teachers say he's bright, curious, and making friends quickly, and his latest checkup showed significant improvement in his heart function. Malia's eyes welled with tears of relief and gratitude. I can't thank you enough, Khalid, for all of this. Sometimes I still feel like I'm going to wake up and find it was all a dream. Khalid reached out, hesitating for a moment before gently squeezing her shoulder. It's not a dream, and you don't need to thank me. Your work, your dedication, you've earned this, Malia, and you've taught me more than you know. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the air between them seemed charged with unspoken emotions. Malia felt her heart race, not from fear or anxiety as it had so often in the past, but from a new, exhilarating feeling she wasn't quite ready to name. Khalid cleared his throat, breaking the moment. Actually, I came to discuss something important. The International Sustainable Energy Conference in London next month. I want you to present our findings. Malia's eyes widened in surprise. Me? But surely you or Dr. Sammy would be better suited. I've never spoken at a conference of that caliber. Khalid shook his head, his expression firm. This is your project, Malia. Your innovation. It's time for the world to see what you're capable of. As Malia processed this, her mind racing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, a commotion outside the office caught their attention. The door burst open, and a small whirlwind of energy came barreling in. Mama, Uncle Khalid, Amir cried, his face alight with joy. He ran to Malia, who scooped him up in a tight hug. My darling, what are you doing here? Malia asked, peepering his face with kisses. Amir giggled, squirming in her arms. Miss Fatima brought me. She said I could show you my test score. He proudly held up a paper with a bright red A+ at the top. Khalid's face broke into a wide grin. Well done, young man. This calls for a celebration. What do you say we all go out for ice cream? Amir's eyes lit up even more, if that was possible. Can we, Mama? Please? Malia hesitated, glancing at the stack of work on her desk. Khalid, noticing her reluctance, stepped in. The work will still be here tomorrow, Malia. Some things are more important. Looking at Amir's hopeful face and Khalid's encouraging smile, Malia felt a warmth spread through her chest. This was what she had always dreamed of, not just financial security, but the freedom to enjoy moments like these with her son. You're right, she said, setting Amir down and taking his hand. Ice cream it is. As they left the office together, Malia couldn't help but marvel at how naturally Khalid interacted with Amir, answering his rapid-fire questions about the buildings they designed and the energy they were trying to save. It was a side of him she never would have imagined that first night at the cafe. In the elevator, catching their reflection in the mirrored walls, Malia in her smart business attire, Amir swinging between her and Khalid himself looking more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. Malia was struck by how much they looked like a family. The thought both thrilled and terrified her. As the elevator descended, carrying them towards their impromptu celebration, Malia realized that her partnership with Khalid had evolved into something far more complex than she had anticipated. They were partners in innovation, yes, but also in this new life they were building. A life full of possibilities she had never dared to dream of before. As they stepped out into the warm Dubai evening, Amir's excited chatter filling the air, Malia caught Khalid's eye. The look they shared was one of mutual understanding, and something deeper, something neither of them was quite ready to name. Whatever challenges lay ahead, be it groundbreaking research or navigating their evolving relationship, they would face them together. The London sky was a canvas of gray as Malia stood at the podium, her heart racing. The International Sustainable Energy Conference buzzed with anticipation, hundreds of eyes fixed on her. She took a deep breath, remembering Khaled's words of encouragement earlier that morning. "You've got this, Malia," he had said, his hand warm on her shoulder. "Show them what you're made of." As she began her presentation, her initial nervousness melted away, replaced by the passion that had driven her research. The audience listened, enraptured, as she unveiled the groundbreaking results of her team's work. When she finished, the applause was thunderous. Questions poured in, each more enthusiastic than the last. Malia fielded them with confidence, her eyes occasionally finding Khaled's proud gaze in the crowd. Hours later, as the conference wound down, Khaled approached her, 2 glasses of champagne in hand. "You were brilliant," he said, handing her a glass. "I've lost count of how many collaboration offers you've received." Malia smiled, taking a sip. "It's overwhelming, to be honest. I never imagined." Her words trailed off as she noticed Khaled's expression change, his eyes fixed on something or someone behind her. She turned to see an elegantly dressed older couple approaching, their features striking a familiar chord. "Mother, father," Khalid said, his voice suddenly formal. "I didn't expect to see you here." Malia's eyes widened. These were Khaled's parents, the elite of Dubai society, people whose world was as far from her own as the moon from the earth. "Khalid, darling," his mother said, air-kissing his cheeks. "We heard about the breakthrough your company was presenting. We had to come see for ourselves." Her eyes landed on Malia, curiosity and something else, assessment, perhaps, in her gaze. "And who is this lovely young woman?" Khaled's father asked, his tone polite but reserved. Khalid straightened, a hint of defiance in his posture. "This is Malia Hakim, the lead researcher behind our new biofuel technology. Malia, these are my parents, Rashid and Fatima al-Rashid." Malia mustered her most professional smile, extending her hand. "It's an honor to meet you both." Fatima took her hand delicately, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Charmed, I'm sure." "Khalid, darling, you didn't mention you had such a talented new employee." The emphasis on employee wasn't lost on Malia, and she felt a flicker of discomfort. Khalid's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Malia is much more than an employee mother. She's a partner in this project and a dear friend." Rashid's eyebrows rose slightly at this. "I see. Well, Ms. Hakim, your presentation was quite impressive, though I must admit, I'm surprised to see a woman in such a prominent role in our culture." Malia felt a flash of indignation, quickly tempered by years of practiced diplomacy. "Thank you, Mr. Al-Rashid. I believe talent and dedication know no gender or cultural boundaries. Your son has been instrumental in providing opportunities based on merit." Khalid beamed at her words, but Fatima's expression soured slightly. "Yes, well, Khalid has always had unconventional ideas. Speaking of which, darling, have you given any more thought to the arrangement we discussed? The Abdullah's daughter is back from her studies in America, and they're quite keen on a match." The tension in the air thickened palpably. Malia felt her heart sink, though she couldn't quite explain why. Of course, someone like Khalid would be expected to make a suitable match. It shouldn't matter to her. It didn't matter to her. Did it? Khalid's voice was tight when he responded. "Mother, we've discussed this. I'm not interested in arranged marriages. My focus is on the company and our work." "But, darling," Fatima persisted, "you're not getting any younger. It's time you settled down, carried on the family name. Surely you can't expect to." Her eyes flicked to Malia, the implication clear. Malia felt as if the floor was tilting beneath her feet. She had known, of course, that her world and Khalid's were different, but in the cocoon of their work, their growing friendship, she had allowed herself to forget just how vast that gulf truly was. "If you'll excuse me," Malia said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I should go check on my son." Before anyone could respond, she turned and walked away, her steps quickening as she neared the exit. She heard Khalid call her name, but she didn't turn back. She couldn't bear to see the pity in his eyes, or worse, the realization that his parents were right. As she stepped out into the cool London evening, Malia felt the walls she had carefully constructed over the past months begin to crumble. She had allowed herself to dream, to believe that talent and hard work could bridge any gap. But standing there, the voices of the elite still ringing in her ears, she was painfully reminded of the reality she had tried to ignore. She was Malia Hakim, single mother, former dancer, brilliant scientist, yes, but still an outsider in Khalid's world. And no amount of groundbreaking research could change that fundamental truth. As a light rain began to fall, mirroring the tears she refused to let fall, Malia hailed a taxi. She needed to see a mirror, to hold him close, and remember what truly mattered in her life. Tomorrow, she would face Khalid and the implications of this evening. But tonight, she needed to retreat to the one world where she truly belonged, the world she had created with her son. The taxi pulled away from the curb, leaving behind the glittering world of the conference and the complicated emotions it had stirred. As London's lights blurred in the rainy window, Malia closed her eyes, steeling herself for the difficult conversations and decisions that lay ahead. The weeks following the London conference passed in a blur of tension and unspoken words. Malia threw herself into her work with renewed vigor, as if the equations and experiments could somehow erase the memory of that uncomfortable encounter with Khalid's parents. Khalid, for his part, seemed equally determined to pretend nothing had changed, though his attempt at casual conversation often fell flat. It was on a sweltering Dubai afternoon, with the sun beating down mercilessly on the city's gleaming towers, that everything came to a head. Malia was in the lab, poring over the latest test results, when Khalid burst through the door, his face alight with excitement. "Malia, we did it!" he exclaimed, waving a stack of papers. She looked up, startled. "What? What did we do?" Khalid rushed to her side, spreading the papers across her workstation. "The latest field tests. The algae strain. It's performing even better than we projected. This isn't just an improvement. It's a revolution." Malia's eyes widened as she scanned the data. This is incredible," she breathed, her earlier melancholy momentarily forgotten in the face of scientific triumph. "We could change the entire landscape of sustainable energy in arid regions," Khalid finished, his eyes shining. "Malia, do you realize what this means? The impact this could have?" She nodded, a smile spreading across her face despite herself. "It's everything we've been working towards." "Khalid, this is amazing." In the excitement of the moment, Khalid pulled her into a tight embrace. Malia stiffened for a second, then relaxed, allowing herself to share in the joy of their shared accomplishment. As they pulled apart, their eyes met, and suddenly the air between them seemed charged with something more than professional triumph. Khalid's hand lingered on her arm. "We make quite a team, don't we?" he said softly. Malia felt her heart rate quicken. "Yes, we do," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. The moment stretched between them, full of unspoken possibilities. Then, as if snapping out of a trance, Malia stepped back, clearing her throat. We should start preparing a press release and inform the board." Khalid blinked, as if coming back to reality. "Yes, of course. You're right." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Malia had come to recognize as a sign of his rare moments of uncertainty. "Malia, there's something I've been meaning to talk to you about. About what happened in London." Malia held up a hand, stopping him. "Khalid, please. We don't need to discuss that. It's not important." "But it is," he insisted. "Malia, what my parents said, their expectations, they don't define me. Or us. What we have here, what we built together, it's more important than any outdated social conventions." Malia felt a lump forming in her throat. "Khalid, I appreciate that, but we can't ignore reality. Your world and mine, they're different. This breakthrough, our work together, it doesn't change that." Khalid's expression hardened with determination. "Maybe it's time those worlds changed, then. Malia, you've shown me what really matters. Your brilliance, your dedication, the way you balance your work with being an amazing mother to Amir. That's what I admire. That's what I—" He paused, seeming to weigh his next words carefully. "That's what I've fallen in love with." Malia gasped, her eyes widening in shock. "Khalid, we can't." Before she could finish, the lab door burst open again, This time, it was Dr. Sammy, the head of their research division, his face flushed with excitement. "Have you seen the results?" he exclaimed, oblivious to the tension in the room. "This is groundbreaking. We need to call an emergency board meeting and start preparing for a major announcement." The moment shattered, Malia and Khalid found themselves swept up in a whirlwind of activity. As word of their breakthrough spread, the lab filled with excited researchers, and soon calls were pouring in from industry partners and media outlets. Hours later, as the sun set over Dubai, casting a golden glow over the city, Malia found herself standing once again at the window of her office. The view that had once seemed like a dream now felt bittersweet. Their professional triumph was undeniable, but Khalid's unexpected confession had thrown her into emotional turmoil. A soft knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. She turned to see Khalid standing there, his tie loosened, looking as exhausted as she felt. "Quite a day, huh?" he said, a small smile playing on his lips. Malia nodded, unsure what to say. The air between them was heavy with unresolved tension and unspoken feelings. Khalid took a deep breath. "Malia, about what I said earlier." "Khalid, please," she interrupted. "We've had an incredible breakthrough today. Let's just focus on that for now. The rest we can figure out later." He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "You're right, but this conversation isn't over. What we have, it's special. I'm not willing to let it go without a fight." As he turned to leave, Malia felt her heart constrict. She watched him walk away, torn between the elation of their professional success and a fear of the personal complications that lay ahead. Outside, the Dubai skyline glittered in the twilight, a testament to the power of innovation and ambition. But as Malia stood alone in her office, she realized that the greatest challenges, and perhaps the greatest rewards, lay not in the world of science and technology, but in the complex landscape of the human heart. At that moment, she realized she was in love too. The celebration of the Sustainable Energy Project's success was in full swing. The terrace of the Al Rashid Tower sparkled under the starlight, overlooking the dazzling Dubai skyline. Important industry guests, investors, and close friends circulated, celebrating the breakthrough that promised to revolutionize energy production in arid regions. Malia, radiant in a blue dress that enhanced her amber eyes, felt on cloud nine, but also a little out of place amidst all the luxury. Khalid, noticing her discomfort, approached with a warm smile. "Is everything all right?" he asked, his voice gentle amidst the party's buzz. Malia nodded, but her eyes betrayed her. "It's all so different from my world," she confessed. Khalid held her hand, conveying confidence. "This is our world now, Malia, and you belong in it as much as I do." He paused, his eyes shining with passionate intensity. "Do you remember the night we met? In the small cafe, where the music brought us together?" Malia smiled, the memory of that magical night still vivid in her mind. "How could I forget? That's where it all began. And it's there that I'd like to return for a moment," Khalid said, guiding her to the center of the terrace, where a small band was playing a soft, nostalgic Arabic melody. "Malia, would you grant me the honor of a dance?" The guests made way, curious to see what was happening. Malia hesitated for an instant, feeling all eyes on her. But then she saw the sincerity in Khalid's gaze and the passion that united them, and she accepted the invitation. As the music enveloped the terrace, Khalid and Malia began to dance. Their movements were graceful and synchronized, as if connected by an invisible thread. The dance became a metaphor for their journey together, from the chance encounter in the cafe to the success of the Sustainable Energy Project. Each step, each twirl, told a story of overcoming challenges, of love, and of hope. In the middle of the dance, Khalid stopped, holding Malia's hands firmly. "Malia," he said, his voice choked with emotion, "you entered my life like a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day. You showed me the true meaning of passion, perseverance, and love. You inspire me to be a better person, to fight for a fairer and more sustainable world." He paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. "I know our path hasn't been easy. We've faced challenges, prejudices, and expectations that seem impossible to overcome. But together, we've proven that love can conquer any barrier, that talent can flourish in any environment, and that the future can be brighter if we work together. Khalid knelt down, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Malia Hakim, will you marry me? Will you build a life alongside me? Full of love, joy, and purpose? Silence hung in the air as all those present held their breath, awaiting Malia's answer. Tears streamed down Malia's face, blending joy and emotion. She looked at Khalid, seeing in his eyes the promise of a future together, a future where their worlds united in perfect harmony. Khalid, she began, her voice trembling, her heart beating strong. Yes, with every fiber of my being, yes, my love for you is endless, and I can't wait to spend forever making memories with you. A year had passed since that magical night on the terrace of the Al Rashid Tower. The lives of Malia, Khalid, and Amir had transformed into a symphony of love, work, and family. Malia and Khalid married in an intimate ceremony, surrounded by friends and family who accepted and celebrated their union. Khalid's family, initially hesitant, learned to admire Malia's strength, intelligence, and kindness, recognizing the positive impact she had on Khalid's life and on the company. Malia continued to lead the Sustainable Energy Project, achieving new breakthroughs and receiving international recognition for her work. She became an inspiration for women around the world, showing that it is possible to reconcile career, family, and passion. Khalid, in turn, became a fervent advocate for gender equality and sustainability, using his influence and resources to promote positive changes in society. He learned to value the small things in life, to find joy in simple moments, and prioritize the well-being of his family above all else. Amir, now 6 years old, flourished under the love and care of Malia and Khalid. His health improved significantly, and he became a curious, intelligent, and energetic boy. He loved spending time with his parents, learning about science with Malia, and exploring the world with Khalid. On a sunny afternoon, Malia, Khalid, and Amir were in the park, playing and laughing together. Amir ran after a colorful kite, while Malia and Khalid watched him, holding hands. "Do you remember when we met?" Malia asked, looking at Khalid with a smile. It seemed like our worlds were so different, so distant. Khalid squeezed her hand affectionately. They were, but fate had other plans for us. A simple dance changed our lives forever. Amir ran back to them, hugging Malia's legs. "Mom, Dad, look what I can do," he exclaimed, starting to dance. Malia and Khalid exchanged a meaningful look, their hearts overflowing with love. They joined Amir in the dance, creating a new rhythm, a melody of family, of unity, and a hope. As they danced under the sun, Malia realized that her life had become an epic love story, full of twists, challenges, and achievements. A story that began with a dance and would continue to be written with each new day, each new step, each new melody. And in the end, what truly mattered was that they were together, united by love, passion, and purpose, dancing to a new rhythm in a new life. If you enjoyed the story, don't miss the next ones appearing on your screen. Leave your like and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories. It means the world to us. See you next time.